Sophia and Xavier are a great couple. Being a philosophy professor, the girl loves to immerse herself in mind games against her husband, and frankly, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. The main part is arguing over matters that are unsolvable. It is both a sport and a highly enjoyable activity for both. Add to that some wine and friends, and you will have a perfect evening. Even the shouting of the children in the background means nothing to the people at the table. They are trying to find the universal value of existence. Who cares about kids? One thing, however, still manages to leave a stain on the fabric of this perfect evening. It is the story of a woman named Josephine, who's currently going through a divorce, and to whom Xavier shows special attention. When the two are left alone, Josephine even coins the idea that love is the universal value. What a step towards unacceptable romance. This is a joke, of course. Xavier and Sophia's relationship is a strong one. Frankly, they scarcely even fight. Filling up the tank of the car that night, however, we can't help but notice a glimpse of sadness in Sophia's eyes as she looks at a couple kissing each other passionately. Following the couple through the rest of their night, we see something unusual about them. They are sleeping in separate beds, talking loudly from room to room. We learn about Xavier's incompetence in anything that is practical, and we listen to him and make a mistake of a lifetime. Sophia keeps asking him questions about Josephine, and whether he would sleep with her if it meant life or unlife. At first, Xavier stands his ground, but finally, he breaks and gives out a positive answer. Sophia says goodnight with a smile on her face, but what a dangerous smile it is. The next morning, she goes to their new country house, which needs renovation. Here, she has an appointment with their future carpenter named Silvan, the man who is about to renovate their entire house. Xavier was supposed to come as well, but he forgot to free some time, so now anxious Sophia has to meet the man alone. Silvan appears to be the complete opposite of Xavier. The man is pure practicality. He can do everything. Walking around the house, he lists countless things that need changing. Energetically and charismatically, he speaks in almost a joking manner, lifting up his voice in the air and making it easier for the client to communicate. All in all, Silvan seems to be a wonderful person, professional, kind-hearted, and funny. The only thing is that he cannot seem to catch some emotional cues. This is why, in the end, he finds himself confused in the face of Sophia's tears. She and Xavier spent more than €500,000 to purchase this house, and as countless pieces of broken stuff are listed, she feels completely overwhelmed by the practical things that will have to be done. To be fair, Silvan is overwhelmed as well, but the list of things to mend around the house isn't the cause of this, of course. The reason is Sophia's tears. Tears are ungraspable and unsolvable. Even when things seem unsolvable, however, Silvan seems not to find a way to take care of them with the most practical solutions. Watching tears go down her face, he suggests that she scream her lungs out. He demonstrates it too, and thus puts an end to frustration. Surprisingly enough, Silvan turns out to be an extremely romantic man. Drinking some beer at a bar in the next scene, he speaks in a manner that forces Sophia to be drawn towards him. The man thinks that love should be simple. He longs to love a woman, share with her everything that he has, build a house, have kids, and play with them in a forest. His purpose is to get old with the woman of his dreams and perish in nature. Notice how nobody talks about universal values. Throughout the drinking, Sophia finds herself gazing into his eyes without blinking. Something about this man is so gravitating towards her that she loses all sense of time. When the two smoke outside together, the rain even starts pelting. It is just unfair. As expected, the process of saying goodbye drags out across eternity until the minds of the two are completely overtaken by passion. Making out, they get inside the country house and spark a true conflagration. After waking up the next morning, Sophia finds a letter on her forehead saying, "On a voyage between two worlds, we will love." It is unquestionable. There is no chance that Silvan will leave her mind for the days to come. It's not going to be easy, however, especially when the thoughts of a man outside her marriage are interrupted by Xavier's mother and father. They come with their own problems, namely the fact that Sophia's father-in-law is beginning to show signs of dementia. It looks bad, and the old woman is naturally overwhelmed. She needs someone to talk to. Sophia pities her, the person who's completely lost without her husband and who has no personality outside of her relationship. Later that day, Sophia calls Silvan's number and leaves a voicemail for him. Here, she sets some boundaries and gets their relationship over to the strictly professional rails. She's in a relationship, and she isn't willing to leave her husband behind. Paradoxically enough, this is exactly the moment after which she gives a lecture about platonic love. According to the wise man, love stems from desire, and desire stems from a lack of something. If you don't immediately grasp this notion, just live with a person for more than 10 years and see how passion dissipates. And if you still don't believe that, just look at Sophia's face after she receives a book as a present from Xavier the next morning. That afternoon, as Silvan knocks on her door to sign some documents, the infidelity continues, and the only document signed is the one with Sophia's body that grants her hegemony over her entire life. This must not be the complete truth, however. There must be something more than primal passion between the two. As time goes by, and the visits become more frequent, Silvan and Sophia start showing signs of personal closeness. It is truly a magical part of Sophia's life. The connection, passion, and sea create a perfect triad, out of which a meaningful relationship can grow. It's all great, but soon it becomes painful. It is now completely obvious that both Silvan and Sophia are in love. The realization is strong and unquestionable. They were created for one another, and it would be a disaster to let this connection go to waste. There's just no way around it. They will have to get married and spend their entire lives together. The next day, the married couple goes to Sophia's mother's place for a family dinner. Sophia's brother and his girlfriend are there as well, talking about contemporary art. As it turns out, the brother is an artist as well, and he is putting together a very interesting exposition as well. Intellectual dramas and artificial impersonal art are no longer attractive to Sophia though. The most important thing she notices at this moment is the warmth between Xavier and her mother. Xavier is not only her partner now, but he's truly a part of her family. Speaking of Sophia's mother, as she already knows everything, seeing her daughter's behavior change, she can see through her facade. There is no question in her mind that she has found another man. When the mother addresses this problem, however, Sophia says that it's just a fling. She is not planning to give up Xavier for this man of Spanish blood. What she will give up, however, is a good night's sleep. Talking to Silvan over the phone, she satisfies her thirst for hearing his passionate voice. In the next scene, Sophia travels to their country house together with her husband and in-laws when the first spark of conflict between the husband and the wife is shown. The two argue about the personal value of people living in a country. At first glance, the disagreement is nothing special. Xavier and Sophia have argued over countless matters throughout their relationship, but it soon becomes obvious that this time, Sophia is getting really upset. Something about this matter is deeply meaningful to her. That afternoon, Xavier meets Silvan for the first time and leaves the house to the owners. Evening comes quickly, and it enters history as the worst evening played out within the walls of this house. Too many words are said about future babies and plans for parenthood. Too many wishes to become a grandmother and father are expressed, so Sophia finds herself forced to leave the dinner table early. As she leaves, the expression on Xavier's face shows that he is beginning to understand that something is wrong in his relationship. The truth was revealed to him that night. Upon coming up to their bedroom, he finds his wife still awake and asks her questions. He wishes for the answer to be less destructive, but no denial can stand in the way of this huge revolution. When Sophia finally reveals the truth to him, the man's life turns upside down. It is truly a heavy experience to even watch him, draining tears upon realizing that his marriage is over, that the love between him and his wife is a burden to Crips, and that meaning to his life has been stomped out in a blink of an eye. Imagining another man in Sophia's bed burdens his soul even more, and the fact that she loves another man drains him of all his mental powers. He is desperate and pitiful, and no more can be said about this. Xavier continues to be in this state for a while, but then he accepts the truth and lives on. The next morning, Sophia comes out of their bedroom and sees him as he gets inside his car and drives away. This is it. The marriage is over. With the coming of winter, Sophia continues to live in the country house, and the relationship between her and Silvan keeps going at the same meaningful pace as always. It is all primal, basic, and physical, but at the same time, it is strangely immortal and infinite. The passion between them will surely never fade. One day, a strange question creeps up on Sophia. Perhaps she isn't that confident in Silvan after all. The full-fledged uncertainty is still in the process of incubation, but Sophia feels the first breeze of future struggle when she meets Silvan's family. Here she realizes just how different she is from the people in her partner's life. They are loud, hoarse, and uncouth. They probably haven't even read a book after finishing school, and they scarcely have any barriers when it comes to social interaction. The mother gets drunk, and the sister-in-law starts proving that there are ghosts in her house. Kevin, Silvan's brother, is extremely inattentive towards his wife's feelings. According to this description, one might think that Sophia has gotten herself among some terrible primal savages, but these people are just as normal as she is. They love and care for each other, and they long to be happy and fulfilled just like her. Gradually, As the dinner progresses, Sophia feels more and more accepted and at home. It is strange, but at the end of the day, she is quite happy with where she is. That night, they party. Or, to remain completely honest, that night, the men partied. A local bar starts revving in masculinity as Kevin and Silvan, two loud brothers, join the cheerful commotion. From upstairs, Sophia even notices an unpleasant amount of intimacy between her lover and some women. It is probably not a big deal, but from the expression that suddenly comes up on Sophia's face, we understand just how suspicious and jealous she is. This isn't the first time we've seen this exact look on her face. Jealousy must be a part of her personality. To soothe this toxic feeling, she addresses this problem as soon as possible, but receives an answer that should be completely calming. As evidence that nothing is going on between him and that woman, Silvan lets Sophia know that they are cousins. It should all be perfect from now on, but Sophia doesn't forget one very important detail. They are in the country, and the definition of the word cousin is pretty flexible here. Jokes aside, Sophia truly has nothing to worry about, other than the fact that Silvan is probably very bad with emotions. When the time of conflict comes, great frustration and confusion are expected from the man. With this, life continues quite normally. The relationship between the couple grows so much that they begin talking about having babies, and upon returning to the city, Sophia meets her friends. But soon, something very dramatic and abrupt happens. As was expected, the first conflict between Silvan and Sophia explodes, and the two handle it terribly. Frankly, they couldn't have been more irrational. As if it were their first argument ever, they fail to understand each other's perspectives. But what makes everything worse is that neither of them is successful in remaining self-aware. The conflict starts out for a seemingly unimportant reason. Silvan sees Xavier's suit lying on the couch in Sophia's apartment and becomes extremely upset. Aggressive right out of the bat, he eliminates all the will in Sophia to understand his feelings. With her calmness and cleverness, Sophia makes him feel even worse. So naturally, the man's unhelpful toxic aggression rises even more. It all ends when Sophia wins the argument by demeaning Silvan's family and their poor intellectual education. Sophia truly knows ways to win arguments. She's a philosopher after all. Immediately afterward, Silvan decides to quit the argument. Expressing the last of his aggression, he storms out of her apartment in a rage. As time passes, Silvan disappears from Sophia's life. Gradually, as days go by, the girl becomes more and more afraid and desperate, until all she can do is cry on the floor of her apartment. Funnily enough, this is exactly the moment when she switches to lecturing on Spinoza instead of Plato. According to Spinoza, there is a big difference between love and desire. The latter is the main driver of human behavior, while the former is connected to meaning. There can be love without desire, and desire without love. The matter of love aside, there can be no subjective truth without self-awareness or congruence between behavior and experience. This is exactly the state Sophia has lacked throughout this part of her life. She keeps lying to herself and to others, saying that the only thing she wants to do while arguing with Silvan is to de-escalate the situation. Everything is Silvan's fault. It must be his Spanish blood. At this stage of the story, Sophia calls Xavier again and tries to rekindle a friendship with him. What a great idea this is to make the poor happy again. After meeting with him, Sophia remembers what it feels like when her intellectual needs are satisfied and laughs far too much. The man is thrilled as well. Talking non-stop about the best thing about their past relationship reminds them of themselves. It is a conversation about philosophical, social, political, and psychological matters. They're only a little preoccupied. Only a little. At this moment, their personalities merge into one unity, but once they appear in bed together, this strong connection burns down to a crisp. Sophia has no interest in making love to him. And so, after the dry visit to his apartment, Sophia leaves with a feeling of emptiness in her heart. This emptiness, however, is very soon filled with one single call from Silvan. Finally, after a long silence, he is ready to come back. Sophia sees the most unexpected thing when he arrives at her apartment. The man is crying, exclaiming in between sulks that he cannot live without her. Perhaps this is the feminine side. At this moment, he is not afraid to be vulnerable. After a passionate night of lovemaking during which all kinds of irrational stuff is said, however, Sophia feels a little troubled. She is over the moon over the fact that her passionate lover has returned, but she doesn't want him to think that sex is the only thing she wants with him. Silvan, on the other hand, doesn't think so highly of words. To him, happiness is much more important than the feeling of fulfillment. The words that are said during hours of drunkenness will always be secondary. This conflict of differences between Silvan and Sophia creates a visible gap between them, and it will surely be difficult to fill it up. As time goes on, Sophia continues to think too much about love. Lecturing about conflicting views about love, she expresses how love is irrational from one philosopher's perspective, while it is a rational choice for another. What it is for her, she probably has no idea yet. Compared to the feeling of love, however, he knows perfectly well how it feels to be extremely awkward. In the next scene, before going to Sophia's friends for a visit, the couple runs into Xavier and Josephine. As a reminder, this latter is the girl who flirted with Xavier at the beginning of this story. An interaction is revealed, and it is totally perfect, a perfect example of hell. To add to everything, it is obvious that Josephine and Xavier are together. For some reason, this detail acts as a kindling of anger and toxicity in Sophia's heart. The hell, however much more colorful, continues to pop up in Sophia's life as she sees what Silvan has decided to wear for the occasion. The man is a walking charm. Even the 40-year-old gay man at the party has nothing against him. After fixing up the toilet, he meets Sophia's younger brother Oliver, and after joining the company, makes terrible mistakes while stating his political opinions. The moment is just a delight to watch. It is truly a full package. Silvan is just so radically different from everyone else. It is lovely to see Sophia trying to protect her as well. As the night progresses, Silvan gives Sophia yet another gift. It is a trip to the Dominican Republic. As everyone around them hears this, they start trashing the place from left to right. The rigorous critique is cruel, but Sophia doesn't care about it at all. She sees how much he cares, and that is enough. This, however, wasn't Silvan's last gift to Sophia and to the god of comedy. Kneeling down unexpectedly in the middle of the kitchen, he tells Sophia, who is still wearing washing gloves, that he wants to go on the trip with his wife. People vape and point their cameras at one of the most funny things that happen in this story. As Sophia's face expresses surprise and anxiousness, the scene of an average statistical marriage is played out in front of the company. Kids of the host's family start crying in the background, and a mild conflict between the husband and the wife breaks out. For a while, before the mother manages to solve the problem with the kids, Sophia postpones giving out her answer. Like this, they just stand there, filling the empty time with unimportant conversations, until the woman comes back. It is only then that, after great reflection, Sophia takes off one of her gloves and puts on the engagement ring. Their marriage will surely be different from all the others. Coming back from the party, their communication is strangely similar to the dialogue that we already saw between Xavier and Sophia towards the beginning of the story. At first the couple is smiling, but very soon, an expression of doubt and fear creeps up from behind their eyes and starts peeking through. They are getting numerous, and it is huge. Stopping to fill up the tank, they both clearly see the pattern that their relationship will inevitably follow. It is a pattern of jealousy, of bitterness, and of fading connection. As passion will inevitably dissipate, they will begin blaming one another and start longing for something more meaningful. Perhaps it would be better if right now Sophia took off her engagement ring, stored it in Silvan's glove box, and let him go forever. Perhaps it would make for a better ending.